This is the battlefield where the entire 88th Division perished in Nanjing. I know a lot of people have read some articles online that say around 2,000 people managed to escape, but those were the reserve battalion. After the Battle of Shanghai and the Battle of Nanjing, the main force of the 88th Division had a total of 17,000 people, with reinforcements added 5 times. Almost the entire army perished. Both brigade commanders, who were major generals, died in battle in Nanjing. And this place was a bunker where they fought during the Battle of Nanjing. This position is recorded very vaguely in our war history, with almost no records. However, in the Japanese battlefield records, a place called Hill 82 is repeatedly mentioned. It was actually in this place where many Japanese soldiers died. This place is called Yuwatai, and along with Yuwatai, it forms the same battlefield, both guarded by the 88th Division, belonging to the left-wing position of Yuwatai. The place was guarded by the then commander of the 264th Brigade of the 88th Division, Gao Jisong, who had just retreated from Shanghai to Nanjing. So the upper part of this bunker is above ground, with these firing ports. The lower part also has a section that is underground. In a moment, we will go inside to look at the bunker and see the combat environment they had at that time. After we come out, I'll tell you the entire battle process of this war. This is the entrance passage to the bunker. There are no lights inside now, so we brought our own lights. Let's go in and take a look. The first room we see upon entering is a storage room. This place used to store ammunition. Ammunition was stored outside, and inside here, they probably stored wartime supplies during combat. This is a command room, and injured soldiers could also rest here. Officers would discuss strategies and battle plans here. The passage is located here, and we need to go up from this point. After going up, come on, let's go up first. Once we're up, this is the actual location of the combat room from that time. The combat room is partially enclosed within the bunker and partly above ground, so there is a vent for ventilation. To facilitate air exchange, here is one of the firing ports from back then. Looking out from inside the firing port, it becomes wider as you look outward because it is V-shaped, allowing for a better line of sight when shooting, to better protect oneself. Now, let's come up here and take a look at this place. Oh, what did I step on here? Oh, it's now a storage room, filled with all sorts of clutter. What is this for? This was for mounting machine guns. And here is the machine gun port. For shooting in this direction, the 2 legs of the machine gun would be mounted here. And some ammunition could also be stored here. This was their combat room back then. It's not very high. I'm 1.7 meters tall, and I can't stand up straight. It's about 3 to 4 square meters, accommodating 4 to 5 people. This is what the environment of a combat room looked like back then. On November 12, 1937, Shanghai fell, and the Japanese pursued their victory from Shanghai, leveraging their success in the Battle of Shanghai to push westward, aiming to conquer Nanjing, the capital of our national government at the time, and force the Chinese government to surrender. On December 1st, the Battle of Nanjing officially began. The Japanese army, with a force of 100,000 troops, split into 3 routes to break through the positions held by Wang Yao's 51st Division in Chunhua and Feng Shengfa's 58th Division in Yuzhou Mountain, coming from the south. The 6th Division of the Japanese army, led by Lieutenant General Tani Hisao, broke through to the Yuhuatai line. Beyond Yuhuatai is the Zhonghua Gate, and if Zhonghua Gate is breached, it leads into Nanjing City. Therefore, the Yuhuatai and Juatai line was defended by 2 brigades of the German-equipped 88th Division of the Chinese defenders. After this battle, the troops were virtually wiped out. 2 brigadier generals were martyred on this battlefield. Since we're here, let's finish discussing their fate, because Yuhuatai and Juhuatai were essentially the same battlefield. Moreover, Yuhuatai was bombed so heavily at the time that some places are now difficult to locate. Confronted with the relentless pressure from the Japanese forces, the nationalist soldiers knew very well that their chances in this battle were grim. The commanders of the 262nd Brigade, Zhu Qi, and the 264th Brigade, Gao Zisong, instructed their men during pre-battle mobilization to raise the military flags and then lower them to half-mast. Why did they do this? It was to mourn the soldiers in advance before the battle, expressing their determination to fight to the death. This can all be verified. To put it bluntly, they knew before the battle that they were going to die and didn't expect to survive. Many friends who understand the history of the anti-Japanese war often say that although some nationalist officials had many issues, their soldiers were indeed largely faultless. On December 10th, the Japanese dispatched over 20 tanks and large squadrons of aircraft. They launched a fierce attack on the Yuhuatai line, and at that time, the 2 small hills to the southwest quickly fell, putting the position in imminent danger. The Japanese infantry concentrated their superior firepower and launched a fierce attack from the foot of the hills, and the soldiers of both brigades fought desperately here. They fought desperately to hold their ground, repelling wave after wave of enemy attacks. At this point, Tani Hisao became anxious. His was the main division, and this was a crucial position, right? If they broke through, they would enter Nanjing. The Japanese believed that capturing Nanjing would force the nationalist government to surrender, so they called in more than 100 aircraft for a frenzy. This battle gave rise to a term, the tightness of time and the quantity of ammunition. Under the intense Japanese bombardment, the Chinese defenders' fortifications were almost completely destroyed. Without sturdy shelters, the soldiers fell into a desperate situation. In some areas, the hilltops were even shaved down by a meter. At the frontline positions, the two brigades fought with ferocious determination, completely losing themselves in the battle. On the opposing side, General Zhu Qi personally led a suicide squad into the midst of enemy ranks. Under the leadership of General Zhu Qi, the soldiers were fearless. During the battle, General Zhu Qi's abdomen was cut by a shrapnel from a nearby exploding shell, and his intestines spilled out. The young guard saw this and couldn't stop crying. General Zhu Qi endured the pain and smiled, comforting him. Why cry? Sacrificing for the country is the greatest honor. Hurry up and teach the enemy a lesson. Don't be a coward. As he spoke, Zhu Qi stuffed his intestines back into his abdomen, tightened it with his bullet belt, and continued to command the battle. What I'm telling you is true, not a TV drama. You can verify it yourselves. After multiple rounds of bloody battles, the 262nd Brigade was left with only a company of soldiers. They brought out the last few dozen boxes of grenades and arranged an explosive barrier in front of the position. Even if it means mutual destruction, they wouldn't let the Japanese easily take our position. Numerous grenades with their caps opened were tied together with strings and placed in front of the position. After the Japanese forces swarmed onto the position, hundreds of grenades exploded simultaneously. The Japanese forces were blasted with corpses scattered everywhere. On the morning of the 12th, only a dozen or so soldiers remained on the Yuatai position. General Zhu Qi, due to excessive blood loss, sweat was pouring down like beads. Before he died, he weakly told a company commander next to him, named Guo Shuili. How do we know this? Isn't it because someone survived? Immediately, you must burn all the combat materials and maps in my briefcase. Do not let the Japanese have them. Secondly, I have a pocket watch. Take it. This is the only valuable item I have. After the war, if there's a chance, give it to my family as a keepsake. Thirdly, bury my body. You can blow it up or bury it. Just don't let the Japanese see it. Because if the Japanese see our fallen officers, they'll make an issue of the remains, shaking our morale. In the end, almost the entire 2nd Brigade sacrificed themselves for the country. When the Brigadier General sacrificed himself, Zhu Qi was only 33 years old. General Zhu Qi's orderly was named Yu Fugi, nicknamed Little Shandong, and he was only 17 years old. His legs were blown off by Japanese shells, exposing deep white bones. At the time, there was a lack of painkillers and hemostatic drugs, and even more so, life-saving medicine on the battlefield. He sought help from Company Commander Guo. Help me, or just shoot me, or give me a few grenades. I'll wait for the Japanese to come up and blow up their armored vehicles. In the end, they tied 6 grenades to Yu Fugi. Then, they ambushed on the path that the Japanese had to pass through. Yu Fugi blew up the first Japanese tank in front, and his own body was shattered. Back then, many soldiers defended their country in such a tragic manner. After General Zhu Qi died in battle, the opposing position fell. This increased the pressure on Gao Zisong's troops on this side of the position. If the Japanese had joined forces and attacked us at that time, it would be more difficult for us. So he ordered to push the Japanese back to the foot of the mountain before nightfall to defend Nanjing for one more day. Gao Zisong knew his moment of glory had arrived. He led the entire 264th Brigade to launch a counterattack against the Japanese. That night, they indeed pushed the Japanese back to the foot of the mountain. However, during hand-to-hand combat with the Japanese, a soldier bit off one of his ears, and he had bayonet wounds on his body. Fu Guang advised him at the time, while it's dark, go to the hospital north of the river. You can still survive. You need to survive to have a chance to avenge your brothers. Gao Zisong refused to leave. At that time, the troops were down to just a few dozen people. The next day, at dawn, the Japanese attacked again. General Gao ordered a counterattack. And when they ran out of ammunition and food, he ordered all grenades to be gathered together. As soon as the Japanese entered the position, all the grenades exploded simultaneously. Gao Zisong's unit and the invading Japanese forces perished together, and General Gao Zisong heroically died for the country. With this, the 88th German-equipped division was completely gone. Later, the 88th division retained its structure, but it was no longer the German-equipped division it once was. The last battle of the 88th German-equipped division was the Battle of Nanjing. Later, the people did not forget them, and the country certainly did not forget them. They were among the first batch of 300 anti-Japanese heroes recognized by the Nationalist Army in the New China.